Back. You're listening to Real Estate Talk Boston. I am your host, Chris Devon. I'm joined by South Shore real estate agent Bill Tierney from Virtual Homes Real Estate. Bill, thanks for being here.
Thanks again, Chris.
Well, every week we try to highlight a different real estate market within the greater Boston area, and today we're focusing on the Marshfield market and the real estate opportunity that exists in this town, really across all price points. Bill, you know Marshfield well and sell a lot of real estate there. Can you share with us why Marshfield is a great place to buy a home today?
Marshfield's a unique place to be. Its proximity to the water. I mean, I've heard people tell me that Marshfield has the same beaches as Cape Cod, and I can argue that they are as nice and white and sandy and as nice a place, nice a beach anywhere else in the state. But my favorite thing about Marshfield is it's one of the few communities on the South Shore, or on the coast of Boston, the coast of Massachusetts, where you can buy a waterfront home for around $500,000.
That's really tough to find anywhere. You're right. It probably doesn't exist anywhere else.
It's hard, but Marshfield's a place with great housing stock, and I sold a 2-bedroom condo for a little over $64,000 last month. Needed a little TLC. It was a bank-owned property, and you can spend a multiple of 7 figures too if you want. It's a unique town that has the housing stock across the whole spectrum.
All price points. In regards to location, which I think is a key point, I mean, we're, 40 minutes outside the city?
Yeah, I mean, you're easily 40, 45 minutes to Boston. You're in lots of parts of Marshfield, 10, 15 minutes to the Greenbush T-stop. You're, depending on where you are in town, but a few minutes to Route 3 and where north or south from there, wherever you need to go. So
Greenbush is a train station in Marshfield. That's a direct shot to the city.
It's in Scituate, but a stone's throw from the Marshfield town line.
Okay, and in regards to school systems, they're pretty strong. I know they have great athletic teams.
That they do. I live in Cohasset, and we have to face them. But Marshfield's got great schools. They've got 5 elementary schools that feed into a middle school and a high school. And so, obviously that many elementary schools, they have a lot of younger families taking advantage of the great price points in town, especially, if you look at Marshfield sandwiched between Duxbury and its high-rent district and Scituate's high-rent district. Marshfield becomes a big draw for people looking to get in that area, in those beach communities, without paying the big freight.
Sure. I actually have a cousin that lives down in Marshfield, and he tells me all the time how he's just walking down to the beach, and he does not live in a beach community. They live by the beach, but they have a lot of year-rounders in his neighborhood, and I think it's just really cool that he can throw his sons in a wagon and go down to the beach for a half an hour to play wiffle ball before dinner's ready, throw the kids back in the wagon, and you're home in 2 minutes. There's not a lot of places that you can do that. Granted, maybe during the summer along the coast, a lot of the communities are summer communities or what's the right term? 2-season communities. But in Marshfield, I mean, a lot of people living right down by the beach and have access
year round. I mean, there are parts of Marshfield that are still seasonal communities and have the seasonal people, but more and more of those houses are becoming more year-round as people they love the smell of salt air, and it's just as nice in January as it is in July.
Sure. You just brought up a great point that some of the communities are summer communities. That's another key point about Marshfield is that there are 4 or 5 different areas that make up Marshfield, and they all kind of have their own vibe to them, right? Yeah,
Marshfield's sort of like a patchwork quilt of several different communities pushed, or kind of knit it together, from Hummerock and Marshfield Hills at the northern side of things to, Green Harbor and Brant Rock on the southern side. Each neighborhood has a little different feel to it and different price points, but they're, for each buyer, there's somebody that swears that's the only place to be in Marshfield.
Sure. And in regards to access to restaurants and entertainment, Route 139 runs right through Marshfield. Is that considered the downtown area, parts of 139?
Yeah, very much so. And, if you get on 139, there's some great restaurants. There's everything from really good pizza. You can go over to Ember, which is arguably one of the better restaurants on the South Shore, and you can find everything in between.
I actually have to take my wife out to dinner for her birthday on Friday night. What's the name of that restaurant again? I might try it.
No, this is a shameless plug for Ember.
And another key point, like you had mentioned, is really the opportunity is there for all buyers. It's definitely a first-time home buyer market, and it's straight up through people trying to upgrade and all the way up to $1 million plus homes.
Yeah, I mean, you can spend seven figures in Marshfield, with a great view of the North River. But again, you can find at $250,000 a wonderful starter home, for 125, you can get a great two-bedroom condominium. Depending on what your first price point is, there's not a home to pick from. There's multiple homes to pick from. It's a great market, and with the cost of funds these days, or the lower interest rates, sure, it's a great time to be a buyer.
Everybody knows that the real estate market has taken a hit over the past few years, and it's affected everybody. I think we talk about frequently on this show that the greater Boston area, Massachusetts in general, has been lucky compared to other parts of the country, but it's still definitely affected us here locally. I think markets are starting to hold now. What are you seeing in Marshfield?
Well, in Marshfield, we're not the national market. It's not Florida or Cleveland with streets of foreclosed homes. There's a foreclosed home here and a foreclosed home there. It's not blood in the streets here. Yeah, I mean, I would say from the peak of things in 2005 to now, you've probably seen a 25% peak to trough. But if you go on my site, look at my market reports that I publish on WilliamTierney.net, you'll see that homes now are, we haven't seen price erosion, and it's been fairly stable for the last 12 or 18 months. Prices aren't going up, but they're not going down.
But they're holding, which is key, because there's still a lot of markets out there, especially nationally, that continue to fall. So in your eyes, right now is a solid time to buy.
Yeah, I mean, prices are good. They're month over month. We're seeing prices move within a 5% band rate. We sold 28 homes in Marshfield in the month of September versus 12 in September of 2010. So volume is up. Sure. Average price was off 2%. Median price was off 22%. So I think the lower end of the market is still attracting a lot of people, which is why you see those softer numbers. But there's still when there's increased volume like that, there's increased interest. That's not showing you signs of